Welcome to Radio Fixer's channel. Subscribe for upcoming videos. This is part 3 of repairing 1946 monitor radio, model TC56M. I highly suggest going back and reviewing other videos regarding this repair to see the process that we took to get to this level. This is the list of things that we will cover in this video series. Test all tubes and replace the bad tubes. Check all resistors and replace the bad one. Check and replace electrolytic capacitors. Check and replace paper capacitors. Replace non-polarized electrical cord. Rewiring the entire radio chassis. Replace missing wood veneer and stain the radio cabinet. Reassemble the radio. Test the radio. Let's get started. I cut that capacitor out, folks. Look how bad this thing is. See, all the wax came out. And it's crazy, this radio with that resistor was totally burned out, the one I shared with you. Look at the condition of capacitors, and it still was working. That's what they called, the quality of the radio they used to build. Man, these days, if one thing goes bad, your new radios or whatever equipment is not going to work here, this is like what's going on. And it was working. They're all, leaky capacitors. Amazing. They did such a great job those days designing this, and all this was built here in the United States, all this radio. Amazing job. I need to remove this, the speaker, this, and be able to get to those wires. It seems like if I remove these two screws, the speaker will come out. That is first one. There has a washer too. That's the second one. If I turn this around so you can see it, see the speaker come out, which is a good design. So I'm going to unsolder these two wires so I can remove, the speaker coil. This thing is just 3 inches wide, that's all. So that's why there's not enough space under the chassis. It's going to be a lot of work, folks. And how long this chassis is? About 9 inch. So 3 by 9. And you saw how many wires was everywhere. I'm going to take tons of pictures step by step, so we make sure put everything back together the way it was. Alright, one side wire is out. Let's unsolder other side as well. I had no clue this video how bad it was. It was working, as I shared with you. With this condition it still was working. But I need to do it right way. Alright, the speaker is out. We're going to put it somewhere. That I'm videoing this also so I remember how to put this thing back together. Now there is 2 screws here. By removing these 2 screws, this will come out. Yeah, I got to take that out so I have a space. Okay, as you heard it fall down. I make sure this doesn't get damaged. Okay, this is out. As you can see, that's of course for speaker. This is the secondary, that is the primary. Since the radio was working, so I don't need to test all this stuff. Alright, let me check under the chassis to see what's going on. I'm going to remove this also. Alright, this is the wire cord. I'm going to remove this as I mentioned. The hot side goes to the switch right here, the top. See the top right here? The other side goes right here into the pin 1 of 35Y4. Okay, both sides is unsoldered. Seems like they made a loop here to secure the wire. Taking it out of this loop here. Alright, now I can remove it just by pulling it out. I can't believe I have to take this apart. I thought it's going to be easy, just going to be capacitor replacement, but no, Nothing is that easy. Alright, this is out. Of course, I'm going to replace it. This is non-polarized. I'm going to replace it with polarized later. Okay, now at least I have more space here by removing those. As you see, I started installing this capacitor, then I saw that wire under magnifying glasses, had a bunch of cracks. Otherwise, it doesn't show. But I promise you, they need to be replaced. So how are we going to do this? These wires are all over each other. I'm going to just take one at a time and take a bunch of pictures and note so I know how to put it back together. Alright, meanwhile, I have a space here. I'm going to start also measuring the resistors before I continue, because if I want to take those wires out, if the resistor is bad, I'm going to replace the resistors. Alright, next what I'm going to focus on, the beginning stage. This is where the antenna goes to the oscillator coil. And so let's get started here, because this section of radio, as you see in the picture, there is not too many things goes over each other. And one thing I suggest, if you have to remove the wire, start from one side. Like here, you see this is a new one. I ran to here, then from here to here, then from here went all the way to this one. So first find out, which one is the simplest one to change, and start from that until you get comfortable. Like next one, I can go change this one, or this. Of course, these are not touching anything, and they are solid wire. And the crazy thing is, there are some of them, they are good, some of them, they have crack. So just want to share this with you, just start something simple, and then till you get comfortable, then start changing one by one. And start again one, then continue. Don't take all of them out. Believe me, you're going to forget. Just go one piece at a time. Hopefully this will help you. Let's focus on this first IF transformer. Let's remove that. Of course, I draw the additional wires. Let's take that out, because that also, the wires are all messed up, all falling apart. When I looked at under the chassis, there's 2 red wire comes out and 2 white wire. And so this one was hooked up to pin 2 of 14Q7, and of course this one was hooked up to there's 2 screws under the chassis that they connect to variable condensers. These are nuts and screws. That one going to hook up right here. And the other one, the white one, from here goes to pin 6 of 14A7. And of course this goes to pin 3. So I thought to work in this section first. What I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this and work on this, and then installing it. Then also going to install all these wires, as you see, because this is going to be simpler to get us started. Then after this, I'm hopefully more comfortable and move on to the other section, because the other section, as you saw, there's too many things over each other, and they all need to be removed to be able to get to the wire. But this section, since as you can see in the picture, is easier to work in this section first. Hopefully that makes sense. Alright, both the nuts are removed. Okay, it is out. Now I'm going to mark them, all the wires before, so I want to make sure to install them same way that I pulled it out. It was set this way. See, the both red was this side, the 2 other white is the other side. You definitely want to take a good note about this. If you switch any of this wire, it's not going to work. Meanwhile, I have this transformer out. I'm going to get there now. It's going to be much easier to replace all this wire, this section. I'm going to take one at a time. I want to document also all those wires, how they hooked up. Now is the best time to work in this section. Then gradually I'm going to move the other direction. Alright, let's change in some of those like what I did here. Alright, next what I did, I call it page 3. I'm focusing on the ground wire that actually solder to the chassis. From here there's 3 wires goes to the tubes. They solder directly to the key pin on each tube. Also here I draw other wires like from pin 1 it hooked up to pin. Here there's a connection between 4 and 5 as you see. Then there's a 2 branch. One goes to pin 5. Another one from here goes to the power switch. I call it the left side or the bottom side. So I draw all this to make my job easier. When I want to install this, it's going to be much simpler. As you see, I start changing some of the wire one by one. I start from right going left. I took also the both transformers out. The wires all was bad like the other one. Now I'm this section. I change a couple of them, so I'm working on this area now. I removed a few of them. I take some tons of note. Folks, make sure to take note before doing any of these jobs. So let me show you what I did. Alright, let's focus now on page 4 for the second IF transformer and some of the resistors. This is the second IF transformer. It's a little crazy transformer. Let me tell you why. Majority of IF transformer that I have seen in the past, they had just 4 wires comes out of it. But this one has 5. See, there's 5 of them comes out of it. So I draw this to make it again simpler to replace all this. As you notice under the chassis, majority of the wires are white or it really turned to yellow. It was so hard to remember which wire goes where, right? So I start drawing here and add some color that later on I'm going to hopefully use these colors. This is IF transformer, of course. These 2 wire from the right side. The bottom one, it goes to right side of the volume control. The top one comes to this pin 2 of 14A7. This one comes to pin 6 of 35Y4. And the other 2, what I did, I got a highlighter. I highlight some of those wires. Since if I want to take it out, then I know what they are, because if they're all white, how could you tell which one goes where? So I highlight this a little blue. I call it blue and white. And I highlight a little bit of this wire red and white. So this is where the connections are. And from here, of course, there's a connection between these 2 tubes and a hook up to the right side of volume control. The dull light goes here. Again, I mark the wires so I know where they go, and this is where they hook up. I went to a schematic and also test every resistors to make sure they're fine, since I have to take everything out. This one was 150 ohm, half watt. This is 3.3 mega ohm, half watt. These 2, they are 1 watt each. One of them is 1.2 K, another 47 ohm. Remember that crazy wire that I showed you was burned out? It was 47 1 watt. That is what I document to make it simpler. Alright, this is done. I removed all the wires. The wires are all here. And so installed a new one. I don't know why. The original, they used some solid wire, some standard wire. So I did exactly what they did. Like they had 2 solid wire and 2 standard wire. So I tried to duplicate that. Of course, all they used was white. I changed one to blue. So when I want to install it, I know which one goes where. Alright, this is ready. Here around they had this paper around it, so the connection doesn't hit the metal. What I did, I used electrical tape, just went around it one time. And the reason you're doing that, so this soldering area does not hit the metal. So I'm going to put it back here and install it in the radio. Then we're going to work in the other one, trying to do one stage at a time. So already mark, that's red, so I know this 2 red goes right here. Alright, then you have something like that you close it. But before doing that, I need to put the screw here. I put the nuts over it. I want to secure it before tightening. Again, as soon as stop, let it go. Then this goes through this hole. See the curve? This is the way it goes. Comes out from other side. See, when it comes out, then you press it here like that, and this is gonna hold it, as you see. Alright, I'm gonna install this now in the radio. You're working from right to left, so this one goes right here. Alright, this is the last wire I'm gonna remove. As you see, all the pins are very clean now. This section I couldn't change a wire at the time. I had to remove everything because there's too many things going on here. Remember, it was about 6 capacitors are here, several resistors. That's what I did. I take a very good note to how put everything back together. After removing it, I use the brush, clean all the extra solder. As you see, it comes out here. Just clean it pretty well. You don't want those be there because it's gonna cause shortage down the road if you touch any other wires. So cleaned everything. Now I'm ready to work in this section. And again, this is just 3" wide. There's not enough space. It's causing some challenges. Alright. Also, I need to work in the IF transformer. You see, this side is still missing. As you saw over there, I already replaced it. So there's still a long way to go. So here everything is finished. Now let's focus on here. It's very detailed work. You want to make sure you take good notes, because missing one wire, the radio will not gonna work. You need to be very careful where every wire goes. Take a good documentation before you taking it apart. Take again layer at a time. First all the capacitors, where they go. Then resistors. Then get to the wires. And then put it back, of course, to start from wire, build it up. Hopefully that makes sense. So let me show you what I did. Alright, we finally got to the wires. Again, we're going to focus this side of the radio, left side. I document each of them. When I removed one, let's say I cut this off, I documented, then I came here, cut the other one off, I documented. This is very important. Do one at a time. Do not cut all the wires. Cut one at a time and document. Again, if this was not that crowded, I change wire by wire. And I'm not going to bore you to look through everything, but I document everything. From here, this 2 goes to the speaker wire, and so everything is here laid out. Now I need to start focusing to put wire by wire back in the radio. So I'm going to start page 5 first, then go backward. Hopefully that makes sense. I call this is the 5th layer of removing the wire. And also, as I mentioned earlier, went to schematic, try to find all this wire. Sometimes it's pretty difficult to do that, especially if you don't have electronic background. Usually mark it an NC. They use that as a conjunction. That bunch of wire goes to it. So anyway, this is the layout. Let's get it started. I'll be honest with you, it takes so much time to make these videos, editing, uploading, and make sure there's enough information that it actually makes sense, if you want to follow. At this time, I want to take the opportunity and thank my subscribers with their uplifting comment. You always encourage me to upload more videos, since this is just a hobby of mine. Again, I appreciate you. Enjoy all these videos, and you all have an awesome day. Take care. If you're interested to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified when a new video being uploaded. You have a great day.